Welcome back to another exciting adventure of tons of fun. With me tonight, as usual, is Joseph, Don, and my sister Luxwana somehow got left
Hello.
here. I don't know why. I think I lost a bet,
That seems reasonable.
but
Or multiple ones.
multiple bets, yes. But what we're gonna do here is we'll be back after the bump, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody.
All right.
And also, we switched back to the Stranger Things thing
Hmm.
because that other one was really long. Those people were supposed to show up.
You may make it. We'll see.
They'll be here when they get here, I guess.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep telling myself.
Copyright.
No, I haven't been copywritten for this. This is fine. The tune is
No, I'm
different.
talking roll for initiative.
Oh,
It's an actual thing.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Right?
Maybe.
It feels like it's a generic enough phrase.
You would think.
You're a generic enough phrase.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. No, I really wouldn't. Honestly, that's the sad part.
All right. So let's start her out. Lexi, what'd you do this week?
I played video games.
Oh,
And
how's State of Decay Part 47 going for you?
fantastic. No, it's like I did that. I did. Oh God, what did I do? Yeah, really not much other than play games and do D&D stuff because there is a massive plague going on,
Oh,
and I don't want to leave the house all that much.
that's fair. Don, what have you been doing?
Well, aside from the typical home stuff, in keeping with the theme of today's show, a wonderful game came out this week called Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous, and I have been playing that. It's a computer RPG based off of the Pathfinder First Edition rule set made by Owlcat Games. It's really good so far.
Awesome. Joseph?
Let's see. Like everyone else, playing lots of games. I started a game called Blasphemous this week. I saw an ad for the sequel on YouTube, so I wanted to get the first one. It's cool. It's like a Metroidvania platformer kind of game. It's a lot of fun. Let's see. I also did some Lego buying this week. I got an Adventure Blimp, which I'm super.
Oh, nice! Super cool.
Yeah, I got a pretty good deal on it, so I'm very.
Yeah,
very
you did.
Yeah, I would like to have one of those, or at least.
Yeah, I got that, and then when I was at Brick Fair, Virginia in August, I pre-ordered some custom brick heads, and I got.
Oh,
Amidala, nice.
Yeah.
That's a really nice one.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Yeah, we bought a few of them, but this was the one that I purchased for myself. The other ones were gifts for family members. So
right on. Well, it sounds like everybody has had a good thing or a good week.
Yeah. Next week's be even better because I got to start doing stuff back here.
Yay. My week's been my week. I did crack open a set and started building Das Boat.
Ooh, nice.
So it was fun.
Fun.
I still have the con tower to go, but I really like this build. Apparently, it really floats too, so I'm kind of excited about that because I'm 7 all of a sudden, and I have a Lego toy that can go in the bathtub.
You know, when I was younger, I wanted so many of those just to have them because I didn't even want to take them in the bath to me. I just want to be like, oh, I can take them out and float them if I want to.
Well, down here we all float, Don. No? Nobody?
I didn't get it.
Moving right along.
Yeah. What are we talking about tonight, Jeff?
We're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, Satan's game.
Well, really quick, Kirk wanted me to apologize that he wouldn't be able to make it this week. He's in the midst of a riveting and highly competitive eBay auction for RoboCop action figures. It's like his holy grail of action figures. So he's really getting in there and spending good money on those.
Getting those clicks in,
Mm-hmm. 1 cent at a time.
Wow.
1 cent bids at a time. He's very competitive.
Sounds like it. Is it the one with the caps or the one without the caps?
I didn't ask. I'm not familiar enough with the franchise. So.
That's fair.
The caps ones were really fun.
Yeah, they were.
And
I
you
like
could
that a rated R toy or a rated R movie got a toy line.
Good stuff.
with actual actionable accessories.
Yep. Yeah, Andy Traxler says boo, so
You know, like RoboCop? I've never seen it.
it's good.
First one is good. The second one's pretty good. Third one's okay. I actually really liked the remake.
Oh, the Prime Directives?
Yeah, but that was just, I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't RoboCop, but I rather enjoyed it.
Hey, my mom's here.
Hi, Mom.
I just mom.
Hello.
Hi, Maddie. Nice of you to join us. 8 o'clock prompt. That's good. Maddie, we just got done doing the weeks thing. What did you do this week?
Work.
All right.
Hey, excited.
You built the tractor. I saw that on the Instagrams.
Oh yeah. I built a tractor. And I bought 2 of the Marvel minifigure things, but I opened them up and I was disappointed and sad.
What two did you get?
I don't even know. I don't know Marvel.
Show them off.
Here we go. It was
The catalog.
yeah. It was the Fire Lady
That's Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
and the Ice Dude that's next. to it.
Vision.
I don't know. So I was really hoping for the crocodile dude and the
Sylvie,
one with
yeah.
the little frog.
And
but,
that's Loki.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get those, so it was sadness.
Having Frog Thor, which is somewhere. I don't know where I put him.
Maddie, I will send you this as soon as I can, okay?
And then I will send you the whichever one you want. Do you want the hot red lady or do you
I'm good.
want
I got
the
him. I'm good.
man with abs?
I got it. I'm good.
You already got it?
Yeah.
See, the only reason why I thought the dude with the frog was cool, Frog Thor is pretty chill, but I really like that dude's outfit. Like, as a minifigure, he's got like, I don't know, a sock tie. And
Well, there's like stuff on the back. It does say variants on the back of the jacket, so that's just a thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, because that's based off of the television show. I actually also have her, and I really like the hair they did for her minifig. It's Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, they're cool. I got all the ones that I wanted. I'm not really gonna get into it, but I'm happy.
I kind of wish that for Monica they had done her Brady Bunch episode of WandaVision with the fish pants.
I mean,
I'm
same.
lost, so I don't know. Is Monica this one?
No,
that's Captain Carter.
I'm not even gonna try, but I'm gonna just there's some cool ones out there for their body parts.
Oh yeah, a lot of them. I believe Captain Carter's hair is unique for her. It's a new one.
Oh yeah, because it's like curly. It's like twisted, and then it's like almost a bob, but it's curly.
Yeah, same thing with Monica Rambeau's hair. It's I believe it's the first time they've done hair like that offset on the part.
Well, it's no wonder no one can find them, because the other
Yeah.
thing was like all these people have been complaining that they can't find them, and I was like, what's the big deal? Anyways, I went to the Target and there was only
Oh,
two because I was planning on buying a whole bunch of them. And then I asked the people and they were like, oh, we have more in the back. And I was like, can you go check? And they couldn't find them.
So, little tip: try a few other places like Walgreens,
Kohl's.
try Kohl's, Barnes
Mhm.
and Nobles,
Did
and
check.
there are sometimes a few of the other smaller style stores.
Joanne Fabrics. Nope, not even there. So
Mm.
I live in an area where there's like a lot of people who are scalping. So
Oh yeah, there's tons of them here too.
and I noticed that they've been popping up on eBay for like triple the price, even though there's no guidance on like what they're actually worth.
Yep.
Just wait a month or two, and the craze will start dying down a bit.
Yeah. Also, I'm not even gonna try anymore. I got two of them, and I was like, it's like the Looney Tunes ones. I wasn't into those. I'm not really into these ones. I just want them for the parts. So.
I understand that. Donna
Yeah.
understands that.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways,
anyway,
we're here
Alright.
talking about Dungeons and Dragons, right? This is
We're gonna
great.
educate you on Dungeons and Dragons right now. So, Joseph, you have a funny story to regale us with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I am
So-
ready to be regaled. Don is ready to be regaled. Luxwana is ready to be regaled.
Indeed.
Maddie is ready to be regaled. Our audience, 100% ready to be regaled, and just wish that I would shut up. Go
I
ahead,
am
Joseph.
now on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, but I always want
Oh, I
that.
feel like you're overpromising it. So I was told that this week's theme was going to be Dungeons and Dragons. It has something I have a very vague awareness of. I've never played it. I've never really done much research about it. After like literally like 20 minutes of research, I was like, oh, I want to do this. And because I don't know words such as nuance or slowing down, I immediately went to my local game store and started buying things. So having no awareness, I went to the store and I walked in and I said, I need help with Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And I know nothing. So I need someone who actually knows. Because I didn't want like a generic employee who would be like, oh, it's over there. I needed someone with like a little bit more knowledge. So like one guy shot up. I was like, nice. He's going to get me the stuff I need. He's like, what are you looking for? I said, I'm just now starting and I'm playing as an Amazar. And he said, what? I said, an Amazar.
What is that?
That's the race I'm playing.
That's
He's
a
like-
nothing. Is what
He's
that
like,
is.
an Asimar. And I was like, yeah, that. And he's like, Amazar, Asimar, ASMR. It is what it is.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. So he walked me over to the figurines and he's like, oh, we only have like 3 because it's not a really popular race. I was like, oh, I'm just getting started. I'm not getting into figurines, which is a complete lie because I've already ordered 3 figurines that I'm having custom painted. But
Oh my god, Joseph.
And then I found out later from Jeff that I probably got the wrong thing. I picked up Volvo's Guide to Monsters, which is very expensive. It was like $50. 44.96. Kind of pricey. And then I didn't get I asked if I should get like the starter pack, and he's like, no, you don't need it. I was like, all right. But then as a first time player, I got some free goodies. I got a Dragon and Icefire Peak. I don't know what this is. I think it's like a starter adventure.
It's a preview,
Yeah.
adventure preview.
So I got that.
So you don't have to make your own, so they kind of like already conjured one for you.
Yeah, I can go into it in a bit, but
Yeah, I got like a note. I got like a book for like notes, and I guess he said like spell cards because that's something I'm gonna eventually need. And then I got my first set of dice.
Oh, I
That was
love
nice.
the dice. Like if
Yeah,
I
so
were to
the-
do Dungeons and Dragons, I would be all over the dice. Like
Exactly. So the dice, he's like, you can pick out from like this tier of dice. dice are a lot more. What's that?
1 second. So, has anyone ever seen the episode of Frasier where Frasier's dad takes Frasier and his brother out to the cabin to go ice fishing? And then the brother Niles shows up and like everything that's expensive, like to wear and everything else.
Very me.
This guy took you for a ride and got you the wrong stuff. I'm sorry. Continue.
That's okay. So he's like, you can get. He's like, you can pick like a thing of dice for like the $10.95 tier for the dice as like a free gift. I was like, oh okay. So I found ones that I really liked that were like. I saw some on Etsy that I wanted, but they were like $60. I'm like, oh, these are close enough. They were like clear with like gold specks inside. And then I looked at them and they were actually like little koi fish. I was like, I don't really want that. So I got these like pearlescent gray with like gold inking. So yeah.
Oh, I think you got some good dice because I feel like I've seen or heard from other players who've gotten like custom ones done with crap in the middle of them. That those tend to fall apart. I'm glad you didn't spend $60 on those.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to spend $60 on some dice.
You'd have to watch out because I mean there are some very quality people out there who make some very quality dice, but there are some that it's just dime store bucket dice that like, hey, let's throw them in a pack and sell them that way.
Yeah, but your dice also have to be pretty too. I have a set of metal dice that I use. It's blue and gold that a friend gave me. But if I don't have those dice on me, then I go to the go-to steampunk dice that I have.
Ooh, I sent this. It was a TikTok, and I sent it to Flynn months ago. Someone had taken like a revolving spice rack that's like a countertop spice rack, and they filled it with all their die, so like they could like pick all the whatever dice.
Oh, that's extreme.
Yeah, well, they had like 20, 30 things of die, so they I think it's enough part of their lifestyle where it just makes sense for them.
If you really get into tabletop RPGs and games like that, there are people out there who literally have duffel bags full of dice.
Why? Is it because they play multiple characters?
They see sets that they like. Sometimes they do, they do separate them by characters. There's a lot of superstition that goes around.
Yeah.
If a set of dice starts rolling bad, they retire the dice, meaning they don't use it anymore because it's unlucky. And so they get a new set of dice.
Well, it's interesting that you said that people will get die based on a specific character. Is it die or dice? Because it's multiple dice.
Both.
Okay. It's interesting that people will get specific sets because when I bought this set, or when I picked this set, I was specifically looking for like an angelic looking set of dice to match my character.
Huh. Well, you want your Dungeons and Dragons fun fact for today?
I'd love to hear it.
Sure.
The longest game ever of Dungeons and Dragons has been going on for longer than 30 years.
Like
that one up in Canada?
What?
The one up in Canada?
I think so. I don't know. But the guy who's like running the campaign, his Dungeons and Dragons room is insane. Like, yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
I mean, it's like Lego. Like, you probably collect a lot of those little figures over time, and you build.
For a lot of people, D&D is a lifestyle.
So Don, do your thing. Go through the history of D&D for folks. Laxwana, do funny things. I'll
do something.
So yeah, let's take a step back and actually go back to exactly what is Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game, a storytelling device game, where you have a group of players, one who presides over the rest and kind of herds them, also known as the Dungeon Master or the Game Master, and this group of players who are playing roles of a character in a story. Generally, these are roles that they themselves have worked on and decided upon, and it's up for the Game Master to do so. Now, back when Dungeons and Dragons first started, it was a group of guys who created a game saying, "Hey, we wanted a fantasy world to go through and have fun with." And to make it both interesting and engaging, they created different systems to put into this game. So that was Gary Gygax and why is the other guy's name escaping me all of a sudden? Luxana, do you remember?
Remember which?
It was Gary Gygax and
Oh, Jesus Christ! No, it was not actually Jesus, but thanks to the magic of Google, we can figure this out.
yeah, we can figure it out.
Dave Arneson.
Dave Arneson. And they were basically the pioneers. Thank you, Tim. The pioneers of Dungeons and Dragons, and helped develop the system. Eventually, forming, I believe they formed TSR. So the first edition of Dungeons and Dragons came out, I believe, in the 70s. Is that right?
The original publication says 1974.
So yeah. Joe, you muted yourself.
We're now in the 5th edition, correct?
We are currently in the 5th edition, yes. So when the first edition Dungeons and Dragons came out, it was a very basic style, heavily influenced by fantasy of the time. We're talking Lord of the Rings. We're talking mainly Lord of the Rings. But they also delved into a lot of mythology and other inspirations from cultures around the world. The classes and races back then were very limited. In fact, elf, dwarf, and I believe halfling, hobbit, were actual classes. They weren't races. You couldn't pick your race and then your class for that. If you wanted to play one, it was just those as an idea. When the game first came out, it was really, underground wasn't very popular, and then you start seeing it becoming more of a whole. This is the underground nerd culture. If you're a awkward, awkwardly social teen or young adult, this was a game that you could find like-minded people and play with them. It was a small social thing as opposed to being the big extrovert social thing. Fast forward till now, and we've seen Dungeons and Dragons become a worldwide phenomenon. And in fact, a lot of the things you see today in games, pop culture media, novels, movies are really inspired by that rooting in Dungeons and Dragons.
But some people still don't even talk about playing Dungeons and Dragons. Like it's like a secret almost.
For some people, there is still that stigma of you play Dungeons and Dragons, you got to be a loner nerd with no social life, or you hide in your basement all day. It's not really the case. We have some of the coolest people out there who happen who play Dungeons and Dragons. And that's actually a thing, and it's becoming more accepted thanks to people like the cast of Critical Role, thanks to guy who did Rick and Morty. Jeff, you're
muted.
Well, also the guy that was supposed to play Deathstroke in the Justice League movies, Joe Magno. Yeah.
He's also another really big member of the D&D community. In fact, he's probably one of the most well-known currently celebrity D&D players.
Mm-hmm.
That's Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, but like the thing about it is that it's funny because there's a lot of authors that also write stories for the D&D world, like novels, right? 1 second. Hey, there he is.
Yo.
So there's a lot of authors that have written this. Like Ed Greenland created the world of Farron, and everybody was like, "Oh, Farron's the best play setting ever," but a lot of people forget about Greyhawk.
Greyhawk, Dragonlance setting. You have, yeah.
Dark Sun.
Oh God, Dark Sun.
Dark Sun is horrible because halfling cannibals. That's all I'm saying.
That was one of the funnest parts. Come on.
Yeah, the
And
fact that
elves-
everything about that planet is horrible and awful is great.
Yep. But we also got into spell jamming, which is traveling between worlds, which, in my personal opinion, is my favorite setting for Dungeons and Dragons ever. Just because
Spelljammers are great.
it hits so many notes for me. It hits, steampunk with the aspect of a magic spaceship that is a boat, literally a boat with sails, but it can fly. And Dragonlance is a close second because I liked the structure of their mages a lot. Like in the first 6 books, and then everything after that, I stopped paying attention because holy crap, that's bad. But yeah, like D&D is a lot of fun. Even Don's world that I've been playing in for, good God, a year.
Almost
Yeah,
2 years now.
is probably one of my favorite worlds that I've ever gotten to play in. So yeah, it flexes that creativity that every nerd has. Like they want to be a writer, they want to create original characters, and things like that. And in that 2 to 4 hour time block, or if you're in high school and it's Friday and you're not popular, 15 to 20 hour time block, you're and you're playing in your buddy's garage, that's when you get to shine with your characters. God, one of my friends had a drow priest named Twilight Shadowwalker, and it was the most cringeworthy name now that I look back on it now.
And
Let me
it's a
guess, he
pretty
had-
bad name.
He had 2 panthers.
No, he didn't have any panthers. He had daggers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, daggers that could elongate into swords, like another famous drow.
One of my friends was doing a campaign with his buddies, and it was bear themed. So they all came up with characters with bears, and he was Chef Bear ID.
So it was a honey heist campaign.
I don't know what that means, but sure, yeah.
A honey heist. They're all bears trying to steal honey.
It probably, yeah. It
I
was pretty
spent
funny.
probably an hour yesterday I was going through name generators to try to come up with a name for my character.
And that's perfectly fine.
Right now
I'm
it's
just saying.
car.
Rinaldi the Evanblade is the best name that anyone will ever hear when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons.
Is it though?
Is that your
Yes.
character?
Yes, it is. So just a brief, what are we playing right now? Don has created this world, and it's as interactive, 2 worlds. Don has created this world that's basically what every open world gamer wishes that an open world game would be in a video game. We have options, we have side quests, we have, personal quests and stuff like that. And Rinaldi is a 6th level rogue inquisitor and a 6th level fighter, arcane, or eldritch knight. So magic and stealing things and being an asshole and having orphans that are, part of his pickpocket entourage that I'm working on. But, just I'm always stuck. That's why my name in the credits was, why am I always playing the Ranger? Because it's for the longest time, ever since I was 18, I always got stuck with that role every single time.
You don't
And
get to pick your role.
Well, it was like, well, what are you playing? I'm playing a fighter. What are you playing? I'm playing a cleric. What are you playing? Well, I'm playing a rogue. You? Wizard. Shit.
So big thing with party composition is a lot of people don't like to double up on classes because you end up mixing and matching. Trying to decide, okay, well, if you're a fighter and I'm a fighter, I'll do 2-handed weapons. You'll do 1-handed weapons and a sword, or well, are we going to tank? Who's going to do damage? Same thing with clerics. Are you going to heal? Or are you going to heal? Or are you going to do control stuff? It's people don't tend to like, in terms of mechanical play, like to mix those.
Right.
And we'll go into the mechanical play in a bit because that's a whole nother can of worms.
Gil, you're older than all of us combined, except maybe my sister. How long have you been playing Dungeons and Dragons?
I played it prior to AD&D, so with my cousins, it was just plain old, straight out of Gygax's photocopier stuff.
Nice.
Like way back.
The pamphlet, as we call it.
Yeah, and that's really what it was. And like the mechanics were clunky and terrible and all that kind of thing. But I was pretty young. Like I was only 7 or something. So my cousins were running the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just played that. Then a little bit in high school, a little bit of AD&D there. But then really I didn't do anything. Like I was always sort of into the source books and the art and all that kind of stuff for like the longest time. And then as when I was a kid, the tune and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it was only like the last 5 years or so I sort of just got back into it again. And like everyone else, or not everyone, but a ton of people, you watch a few episodes of Critical Role and realize, hey, this has evolved a little since
just a
back
little.
in the day. Yeah. So, and obviously too, when you have guys like that with that kind of skill and voice acting, it puts a whole other spin on it. Of course, then it digs that hole where, you expect your players to be, 10-year veterans of voice acting, and that's not going to happen.
They all can't be thespians.
Exactly. However, that makes it fun too, because that puts the emphasis on you running the game to really sort of become both director and not voice coach, but lead. You try to bring people out of their shell a little bit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, I think you guys are far deeper dive than me. Mine is still fairly surface level, just because trying to sort of basically late night cram all the 5e stuff is a little challenging. Is as much as a dream as it actually is compared to what I knew beforehand.
Oh yes,
a total dream.
My first delve into Dungeons and Dragons was AD&D. Back I started the first Dungeons and Dragons game I actually played was on my father's computer called Curse of the Azure Bonds. It was a computer RPG. Yeah. And that was my entranceway into D&D. And so I still remember Thaco. Still remember it. Still hate it. Yeah. The really obscure multi-classing rules and
and even too even the simple things the required rest just used to drive me nuts. Am I playing a game really where 50% of my time I'm focusing on sleeping? So I can possibly get another slot. So yeah, it was. Yeah, it's so much better now. So.
And so that's actually what I was referring to earlier when I was talking about the mechanics versus the soul of the game. So there are multiple types of players, but you can usually boil down D&D players in this day and age to about four types. You have the ones that love the mechanical part. That's the step-by-step numbers, walking through a dungeon, slowly going through and clearing it. You have the role players who are only there for their characters. You have the mix of the two, which is, I like dungeon diving, and I like developing my characters. And then you have the fourth type, and that's the munchkins. Those are the min-maxers. I got to do as much as I can. Usually shares a side with what we call murder hobos. I kill everything because it's there.
No.
So what you're saying is that I fall into the last three.
It's a lot of silence.
That's a lot of silence.
Who wants to say it?
So, Lexi, you're old. You play D&D still on the regular. I demand to know a funny story about Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
It can't be the kobold one.
God damn it, motherfucker.
Okay, give me the kobold one.
Okay, well, give me the kobold one while I try to think of another one. So it was one of the first couple of sessions of a new campaign, being led by a friend of mine and Jeff's. Ish. I see that face you're making, young man. Anyway, so the party's first job was to go into, and it's in the Eberron setting, just so this provide a little context, and we're go into Sharn and track down a group of kobolds who was committing the crimes. So we track them down, and the rest of the party, reasonably, because it's kobolds.
Wait just a second. What does your party consist of? What are you playing?
I am playing in that campaign a tiefling sorcerer named Natari.
So a tiefling is a character, is a person who had demonic heritage somewhere in their bloodline.
Yeah. And as a sorcerer, there's a bloodline where that magic comes from, and that's a bronze dragon, if I remember right, for Natari. So it's a weird, messed up family tree.
Somewhere grandma and grandpa got it on with a demon, and the other grandma and grandpa got it on with the dragon.
Pretty much.
Lit.
It's fantastic.
According to the opening credits, I'm the beginning of that family tree.
All right. And reasonably, they want to just off the kobolds. Thank you, Jeff, for the illustration. But it's like, okay, we don't really need to kill these guys. So it's like, because nobody else was actually saying anything. They're just kind of discussing it, like what they wanted to, how they were going to attack. And so it's like, I just step up. It's like, there are better ways to make money than robbing people, and they're safer. So, that gets their attention. And my character points out, it's like, look, there's an empty temple to, oh god, who the fucking Eberron's Pantheon.
Keep in mind that a temple is still the temple in the real world, which is a religious place to go for worship.
Yes. That is a thing. But we're getting some echo, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was a temple of Eronwe, I believe it is. The goddess in Eberron of fertility and farming and all that bullshit.
Yeah, sounds right.
So, my character, ever helpful, mentions that they could go to this temple and just start up their own brothel. Both as a form of worship to the goddess of fertility and to make money safely without the risk of getting stabbed or murdered.
I mean, there's other risks involved, but
yeah.
What about the clap?
Yeah.
Well, someone's getting stabbed. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
So do kobolds give fang jobs, or do they?
We don't know. We don't go into the details.
Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
We just leave it for the funny jokes about
That's
the
fair.
kobold brothel.
In a church.
Yeah, in a church.
So Don, how would you handle that?
Well, any number of ways, depending on the party's inclination. You could, so as a DM looking into this, you have to ask yourself, what does this add to my campaign and the story that I'm trying to provide for my players? If they're dead set on this, yeah, I'll generally be like, yeah, you can go ahead and start doing this, but you're going to run into some roadblocks. There's going to be issues you're going to have to overcome. For example, a temple with a kobold brothel, well, you're already looking at several different stopgaps that would have to be taken care of. Example, how would you get the kobolds accepted into the temple? What type of social stigma would you have to impose upon not only the players but their actions in bringing this kobold brothel to this temple, and which generally is going to be in a visited area, so you think it's going to be somewhat civilized. Can this be used as a story hook for future stories?
And how much are you charging?
How is this going to impact taxes and other economic
I
policies?
admit a lot of it, there are points where it's like it's not a super serious campaign, like thematically. There is a lot of stuff that has been done just for the lulz.
That's fair.
But,
and that's fine, yeah.
And it's also an illustration of why like the whole party should be talking to the NPCs too, because otherwise, and if they don't say anything, they let one crazy person run away with the conversation, and then that happens.
Is that crazy person you?
Yeah. That's
I find too, like, also if you get those sort of things, you can kind of like play the alignment card too, as like the DM, where you can say, yeah, of course, man, you can set all that up. You can have it just be like, just be something right out of Caligula. I said, however, if any of you are anywhere south of neutral good, yeah, stuff is going to happen and things are going to change. Yeah. And like, let them happen. But then again, that of course can then reorient what happens to them in the future as far as that goes. But
I have a very strong point to make to this man up there. Don, are you listening to me? So we get set up in the big city, and my character is an urban setting character. He's basically the equivalent of a city elf. And like, Don's like, yeah, there's Steve's guilds. Great. So me and Crash, Rinaldi's a totally 100% biological brother that's a half elf or a half orc, and Rinaldi's a elf. They're like, okay, well, we're going to go make a name for ourselves in this city. So we wipe out a small gang, and the guilds of guilds notices us, and they're like, well, yeah, you proved yourself a little useful, but, you can do this. So that evolves. We're now the go-tos for these people to be like, hey, solve this problem for us, sort of. And I'm like, okay. Every time I tried to set something up in another city or with other businesses in this major city, something horrific happened to the city, to the building, to anything. Like
to the local area, to the kingdom, to the world. It kind of snowballs.
And like for the longest time, my character, not Jeff, but my character was thinking, am I the fucking like pinnacle of chaos here? What's going on?
So to put it in perspective, his character arrived at the major town of this continent, the capital of this continent of the kingdom. Tried to integrate himself into the back dark side of the country, and found himself with his companions and ended up traipsing around the continent, doing things, quests and whatnot, both personal and for personal reasons, and doing so for the overarching arc that I have them currently on. It just so happens that the constant the undiscovered bad guy that they've been constantly running into, this group they've been running into, did something pretty bad. They not destroyed, but were in the processes of trying to do something to the capital city of this continent. And things happened and got destroyed.
We destroyed the city, thank you.
Did you? Or did you? See. So, it's nice to have setups and stuff as a DM for them to do, and always give them the option to do it, but always have a way out.
So, Don was talking about mechanical play earlier and mechanics in games, and like, So I'm going to give this brief example, and then I'm going to give the mic back to Don. No, everybody wants to play in a party of bards or rogues or whatever. But then when it comes time to do that, it goes so poorly because A, you have nobody that can heal you. B, you're all trying to stab each other in the back while work for a common goal, especially if you're a rogue. C, well, let's play an evil campaign. Okay, so you all play evil characters. And you know what happens when you all play evil characters? Well, I kill that guy in his sleep. Because, like, oh, the wizard's getting too powerful, but he has to sleep. I'll wait for him to go to sleep. Or the paladin is starting to enslave us because his evil god says that he needs minions. The paladin's got to sleep. So,
I find in terms of multiple class, of the same class in a party is fine. It can be done really well if both the players and the DM know what to do and what to expect. A party of all bards, you have an acting troupe right there. You have a performing troupe. You can set up your adventures where they going from town to town performing, and you can set up, you can basically be Scooby-Doo. You can literally do Scooby-Doo it. Or Josie and the Pussycat it, the group of all rogues going out. Well, now you have Robin Hood and his merry men.
Or Jabberjaw. You forgot Jabberjaw.
A group of all clerics. Well, you now have, the starts of theological war. You have different things you can do, and it's up to both the players and the DM to handle it. If you have a good DM, he's going to be able to, he or she, will be able to do it. No problem. One of the best DMs I knew out there literally could think and create like a branching storyline within 5 minutes of you introducing a concept to him. I hope to be as good as him one day.
Good. Also, so like, there's another thing in D&D that, from outside looking at, like Joseph and Maddie, who's being attacked by her cat's butt. You can make a character, and your buddy can make another character, and your buddy can make another character. So you're like, okay, guys, we're gonna play rogues, but there's different archetypes that you can take as your character. So like, if you want to make the fighting rogue, Todd, you're on the fighting rogue. You got it. And then if you want to make the magic rogue, the one that does have a limited ability for magic spells and everything else, but can still like steal and stealth, there's an archetype for that. And, and then you've got yourself who's like, well, I'm just going to play the guy that actually steals shit professionally, and this is what I do. And then, surprisingly, your friend from the back comes out and goes, I'm going to play Indiana Jones. And then you have a character that is basically Indiana Jones, but is labeled as a rogue. And that's one of those things about having the same party members, is that every character is different. It's not, well, I'm playing a rogue, so this character is going to act this way all the time because he is a rogue. And it's like reading a book or watching a TV series over a long time. This OC, this original character that you made, you want to grow and change that character's points of view. For example, my character Rinaldi, all he ever wanted was power. He wanted to be in charge. He wanted to be the richest person in the world, or in the continent. He wanted to pull strings to make politics go his way and everything else. But now it's completely different. He's in this for his friends, and he's in this for his father, who is dying. And he's in it for God as well, which I haven't really talked about briefly, but Rinaldi found religion, and he found faith. I mean, he's an asshole about it because Rinaldi's an asshole, but, like, he's do or die when it comes to good versus evil. He'd rather do good than evil, but the way that he'll do good is by killing the mage in his sleep. You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's the way that Rinaldi is. Go ahead, Joe.
That kind of reminds me of how my character is developing, because I feel like, and I know D&D people will, I promise this is probably wrong, I'm developing a character based off of the miniature that I want.
There's nothing
Nothing-
wrong with that.
nothing wrong with
That's
that.
been done 100 times.
Oh, I thought that was backwards. So like,
Oh.
my miniature is like an angelic being. So I was like, oh, okay. So I want it to be an angelic being of some sort. So it's like, okay, Aasimar, got it. Mine has big wings. Well, there are 3 sub-races of Aasimar. One of them has traditional angel wings, one of them has no wings, and one of them has demon wings. I'm like, well, I guess I only have one option, which means they have to be a good character. At least at the beginning. You don't think? Am I wrong?
So a fallen Aasimar doesn't necessarily mean that they are evil. A fallen Aasimar means that he got the raw deal somewhere along the line. Or he is evil, you know?
So the only thing with an Aasimar is that their ancestry has been touched by divine beings.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they have to be a good person.
Oh.
Right.
Are there
Yeah.
guns in D&D?
Depends on the setting.
Okay, because my miniature has guns.
So that's the thing too, is that like in Don's world, he's taken material from
In
other
one of them.
places in one of Don's worlds.
Mhm.
And he's taken materials from other places and he's made a gunner class. My wife Emily plays a ranger, but a ranger with a rifle.
So
Like bringing in like Pathfinder stuff almost into it or something.
almost.
Yeah.
So the world that they're running in is one of the good things about D&D is it's applicable for different styles, and the current world that his campaign he's talking about is running in is a fantasy western era. All right, so it's you've got the big city, then you got the frontier lands. The frontier lands is you got like your tavern is going to be the saloon from a Wild West film.
Mm.
They run around with either lever action rifles, and they have magic.
It's kind of like, it reminds me, I was thinking about this the other day because I have nothing but time on my hands. I was thinking it reminded me, or it brought to mind of Mage Punk, which is like steampunk but with magic. And it's also like what build style that Gil designed years ago called Tech West, where you take things and you mash it together. So like, it reminds me a little bit of the Golden Age of Gilead from the Dark Tower series with Roland and the Knights of Gilead who were packing iron. And that's what I like about the setting that we're in, because I mean, for Christ's sakes, my rogue has a goddamn grappling hook gun. You know how cool that is?
So for a DM, in terms of, and we're not going to get into the portion of world building because that's one of the things I really like doing.
We'll sit down and do a private. We'll do a video on that separately from this.
Yeah. One of my things is I like to figure out how things would be different with other things introduced. In this case, how would the world advance with magic? All right, because we know our history. We know we've gone from Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, upwards to what we now. We see the progression of technology. Well, what if you have something that is not inherently, that we know of is introduced into that? All right, such as magic. In this case, as what would be the time of the Wild West be like if there was magic?
Yes.
The Jonah Hex.
Very close, yeah. Very close.
But not
Not
the
the movie.
Yeah, not the movie, and not quite as dystopian.
Yeah. But that's also another thing too, is that so I don't run D&D games. I don't. I just don't do it. But I run Star Wars and science fiction games like a motherfucker. And I've always liked the idea of, Old Western, Tech West, what have you. And so not to kiss Don's ass here, but the world that he's made is so fleshed out, as far as I can tell, that I'm having the best time ever. Because there's another continent in the game, and that continent is more upper scale Victorian, at that age of Renaissance with early 1900s, the steampunk vernacular of London and Paris and stuff like that. And I like the diversity that's there, because you do come across the settlements, you do come across the people that haven't advanced are like, well, just got my grass vest on and everything is fine. And I also like that Don made Gnomes the bad guy. Small hands, smell like cabbage.
It's the thing is, it's kind of a little bit related to what I was sort of talking to someone about today. My background is literature and study and all that kind of stuff, and I'm a writer by trade. So, and this it's kind of relates to like a DM, like when you have certain types of stories, certain types of genres. And I kind of classify them. There's some genres that are skins, and there's some genres that are cores. So you have like core stuff, which is like, it basically goes back to like Roman, Norse, myth, that kind of stuff. But it doesn't have to go to ancient sources. It can go to like 30s pulp fiction too, right? But basically a core theme is if you have something which doesn't lean at least 50% on something that came previous to it. It's generally novel. But then if you have skin themes, they can be like sci-fi, like westerns, like and fantasy to a degree, because fantasy is like, it's often like a skin over a core, because it's often, you're basing it on obviously like, traditional myth and all that kind of stuff. But what makes it really interesting, like what you're talking about, the worlds that you've created, is when you double skin something, which is kind of neat. So you have a core theme, which is obviously the fantasy thing. Then you overlay, or you have a myth, you overlay the fantasy, but then you overlay the Western on top of that, right? So now you've got this sort of dual layer, and how much of that second skin or that core you let your audience see determines what the mix is. And if you nail that mix, it's beautiful. Whether you're a writer, whether you're a DM. If you miss it, it's a hot shit mess, right? It's
and
terrible.
you know it. And
Right.
Yeah.
you know
Right.
it.
And that's what, and then obviously, that's why it sounds like the world you've created, they've hit that mix just right. And that's what's so rewarding too, because it's not just allegory where you're like, okay, yeah, I see this as that. It's allegory that looks a little farther into something else.
Right. That's
So, yeah.
I've learned that in writing Resolve as well.
Yeah.
Because I've had to add in, so fantasy is the core. The overlay is dystopian. So like having to figure out, two civilizations, like the one that came before and the one that they're in now, has been probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to write. But like the people that have read the notes, the people that have read the basic story core, have been like, Jeff, where did this come from? And I'm like, is that bad or is that good? And they're like, we don't understand how you can do this. And like, it's meshing really well, and it's promising something to be amazing. And I'm just like, oh, no. Like, will I ever be able to repeat this? Absolutely not. This is a one and done for me, I'm pretty sure. But like, it's interesting creating a world and layering it, like you said, and going from there with it. And we'll get into world building. Maybe we'll do that with you, Gil, and have you on as our guest for writing and such, as a separate video from the thing. But it is 9 o'clock, so we've gone our hour. So I wanted to thank everybody for coming. Dana sent me a message that he couldn't make it due to some family stuff. Flynn messaged me back with, "Oh, I forgot that I'm playing D&D tonight." That's why
If he had to miss it
as
for
well.
something.
So for everybody that can't,
That was a kitty cat.
Yeah, he's yeah.
is that the blind one?
No.
Oh,
So
He's
I just want to
normal.
say, if people are interested in having us discuss this topic more, let us know.
let us know in the comments. Patrons, let us know if you want private stuff. Let us know if you want actual footage of the Sunday game. Let us know if you want us to make a game where it's more than the Sunday. It's different than the Sunday crew. Maybe with us playing. I can probably whip something up. Don is taking a break from running for 3 weeks because, He's been doing it for 2+ years, and he needs a break.
And I got to get stuff done around the house.
Plus, it'd be nice to have a working shitter in his house. So,
Got to be a responsible human being, and
Life.
also, just a change to the show. Julian is no longer going to be joining us for about 3 months. He's taking the time to focus on his health, focus on his family, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, Julian will always be mentioned in the credits as a creator, and when he comes back, we'll be all the better for it. But until then, this is it. And Gil whenever he wants to, because Gil's that kind of guy. My sister, we're going to make sit in on Lego episodes, so that way she has the face that Mandy's had for most of the night of bored and not knowing what's going on. And we'll go from there. So next week is our Super Nintendo talk. I got Kevin Hinkle coming, and he's going to talk to us about that game that he likes that nobody gives a shit about.
which game?
It's me, Mario.
Not Mario. It's
It
the
was
one
Zelda.
game. No, it was like a RPG. It's got Ness in it.
Earthbound.
Earthbound. Yep.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
Mother, if you're a purist.
So we're going to be talking about that. And
Oh
then,
crap! I'm gonna be like, what is Earthbound? I'll do some homework.
It's weird as
get
hell.
ready. So watch the Angry Video Game Nerd the Angry Video Game Nerd covers home or Earthbound, and just watch that, and you'll be up to speed, Maddie. I promise.
Yeah. There's not much to understand about the game because there's nothing to understand about the game. It's just that crazy.
They had scratch and sniff in the instructions.
No, you're lying.
No, man.
That's awesome.
What kind of scratch and sniff were you sniffing?
It smelled like victory?
Yeah, it smelled like victory. But no, it was like, oh, you've come across this plant or this fruit or whatever. Here's
Scratch
what it
this.
smells
This is
like.
what it smells like. You have to scratch this and this. That's what it smells like.
That's kind of cool.
Bizarre.
That's really bizarre. But
Wow,
back in the day,
technology.
video games also came with crap and their games. So like you'd get like postcards and like books and lanyards and everything else.
A map.
I almost want to get a cheap camera by then, just because I have some video game crap that exactly is that.
Yeah, I have a bunch
I can
of
say
cyber-
that the cartridges for my Atari 2600 came with nothing.
They did
Came with
not.
nothing but an $80 price tag.
Yeah. And they did you ever get the ones with the plastic casing, just the plastic case and nothing else?
No,
Yeah, we still
man.
have some.
There was nothing with it. It was like in cardboard, like nothing.
Yeah, my dad got one. It wasn't even in cardboard. It was in a plastic clamshell. That's how we bought it.
Yeah, that sounds about right for what I've got too.
Had no art. It was just the cartridge. And
Do you know what those used to be? The Sears repack of the Atari stuff would come in those clear clamshells. Yeah.
All right, so after Super Nintendo, we're going to be hitting Lego again, and then we'll be in October, and that will be some spooky stuff. We're going to talk about modern horror movies. We're going to talk about modern horror games. We're going to talk about awesome costumes that we've seen, and then the last Friday of that, I think we're just going to talk about Lego again, but also stay tuned to the channel. I have some friends coming up from Texas and Belgium and Massachusetts. Belgium, yeah.
Waffles there.
Yes, and they're going to be coming up to do a toy hunt, and I'm taking them to Toy Base 10, and they're going to spend 2 hours in the labyrinth, probably more, because two of them have never seen it before. So it's going to be a good time. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and everybody else, have a great weekend, have a great night. Trans rights are in fact human rights. I can't enunciate that enough. Don't let bigotry and hatred cloud your judgment of a person. Love everybody. That's it.
Everyone love thy neighbors as you would love yourself.
Exactly.
Bye, everyone.
That's
Bye, everybody.
Priest Pex talking. Oh, waving. Bye.
Live long and prosper.